Is that the boosh?
It's the boosh. I got boosh. You got boosh? You better get some boosh. Mom, you got boosh?
No, I don't have boosh
You better-
right now, but I've been thinking about boosh a lot.
You better get boosh.
Buddy,
Don't you have any boosh? You want some boosh, baby? Oh, he wants the boosh. It's okay, buddy. I gonna get you some boosh. Who's got the boosh? Let's find out. Check out AuntCarla'sBoosh.com. Hi everybody, I'm Kimberly Edwards from CookingWithKimberly.com, and I'm here today with my mommy. She's on the show. Hi, Mommy.
hi, Kimmy.
This is Ingrid Turner, and you can check her out online at IngridTurnerToday.com. Mwah. And today we're going to have an exciting show on something not really exciting, but you guys should learn how to do this. We are baking traditional white bread today. We're going to show you how to bake traditional white bread, like how you would eat with sandwiches and dinner and
just ordinary,
toast.
Everyday bread.
Ordinary, everyday bread. White stuff. Let's do it.
People are intimidated by baking bread and baking with yeast, but really it's so simple and the ingredients are few.
They are very few, and there's not a lot of ingredients. Like, there's not a lot of ingredients, but the volume of the ingredients isn't a lot, except for the flour.
Yes, which is around 6 cups.
So only need a little bit of the rest stuff.
That will be 2 loaves of bread.
And I'm just like, I'm kind of like a guest on my own show today because Mom's doing the work. I don't know what she's doing. So.
And there's nothing in the world better than the smell of freshly baked bread.
Amen to that. Let's do it. What do we do?
Right.
Oh, wait, this is what I want to talk about. Yeast. Tell us about yeast.
Yeast. Well,
Yeast is a leavening agent.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying that. Leavening agent.
It has to be fresh.
Fresh. So it comes in these bottles like this, or it comes in little envelope packages, and they're like 1 serving thing. But we do a lot of baking, so we buy this great big jar. If you don't do a lot of baking, and don't buy one of these, because you only use a very, very small amount. And in fact, that's more than what we usually use. I would usually use maybe 1 or 2 teaspoons in my bread machine. So if you're only using a little bit and you're only baking every now and again, don't buy one of these. It does have an expiration date on the top, and you want to make sure you pay attention to that. But if you don't bake a lot, you're not going to use this. It's going to go bad. And what Mom's going to show you next is how we're going to proof it. And proofing means making sure that your yeast is viable and getting it started before you add it to your flour and your ingredients. So even if you see that the expiration date is right, doesn't necessarily mean that your yeast is alive. Yeast is actually a living organism. This is a living organism in here. So they could be dead. You got me? So what you got to do is you have to make sure you do a proof, which proves that they're alive. And tell us how to do it.
And that's why we prepare the yeast in advance to make sure that it's working. It doesn't actually go bad. It just won't work.
Yeah, it just is dead.
A big flat piece of rock.
It's like old baking powder or baking soda that doesn't work, and your pancakes are like hockey pucks.
Yes.
It's not cool.
Okay, I'm using this bowl to do my yeast.
I'm in your way.
I don't always do it this way, but we want to conserve dishes. I'm so tired of having dishes everywhere.
That's because all we do is cook. You know this.
Cook and bake.
The kitchen is like constantly in a state of cooking.
So tepid water.
Tepid water means
warm. Warm to
lukewarm.
The inside of your wrist.
Yes. Room temperature, lukewarm, a little bit tinier warm than that. You're good. Yeah. How much is that?
It's 1/3 of a cup.
1/3 of a cup.
And then to make sure that the yeast has something to eat, we put sugar in there. It's a tablespoon of sugar.
Yeast eats sugar. Yeast likes sugar.
You're just gonna give it a little whisk.
Now you can use
dissolve.
Yes, you can use sugar. You can use brown sugar. You can use honey. You can use agave nectar. Anything that has sweetness, that fructose, sucrose, whatever.
2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, and that's how much that's how much you have in one of those little packets. 2 1/4.
But you measure it out of this bad boy.
Yes, I measured it out of here. But if you're buying the little envelopes, that 1 packet is 2 1/4 teaspoons.
Okay.
In we go.
We use Fleischmann's yeast. Fleischmann's is active dry yeast is what you're looking for. Traditional active dry yeast. It's the only stuff we've ever used. I remember Mom using this when I was like little baking. Fleischmann's. It's ingrained in my brain, and that's what I use. So
okay, so we're gonna let it bloom now.
May I show them what it looks like?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna get bubbles.
So right now it's just like swimming in there. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of swimming in there. You got the liquid, you got the sugar. It hasn't started proofing yet, but I can smell it, and I can see that it's starting. So our yeast is good.
Also, I'm going to put warm water in this bowl to keep this warm, because being stainless steel, it will tend to get cold faster.
Yeah, you want to use warmish water. Don't use cold because it won't.
Yeah, you got
The yeast is like what? It wants to have a nice hot bath. How long do we proof it for?
It should take between 10 and 15 minutes, depending on how old your yeast is.
Okay, so we're going to put the timer on?
Yes, and I'm just going to cover it. Where's my tea towel? Here we are. Just going to cover it so it doesn't get drafty. Okay. You got to baby it a little bit.
So 10 minutes. So can we do anything else while we're waiting?
Yes. As we get closer to the 10-minute mark, we'll heat up the milk and the water.
Okay.
That we're going to use.
And how do you heat up your milk and your water? Let's put this to the side.
Okay, that's 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of water into the microwave.
Oh, in the microwave.
Yes.
Well, that's easy. For how
long? Till we want to scald the milk.
Scald.
Which means it's going to get very hot, almost to the point of boiling. And actually, I'm not totally sure of all the reasons for that, but it does keep the rest of the yeast warm as it goes into the bowl.
Scalding milk for baking is one of the most popular terms searched for online that I've seen, and it's usually one of the top things on my site. I have a whole blog post about how to scald milk for baking. I believe we did it when we baked Zwieback one time. Mom was been on my show before baking. She's like the baker. She's the best. So I should have just a baking show with you, Mommy. And the scalding, what it does is it heats it up. Scalding was used back in the day when they didn't pasteurize milk. Okay? So that's right. Right. So they scalded the milk, which means they heated it up, not to a boil. You don't want to boil because it denatures your protein and it changes things inside of that milk. I'm sorry, I know lots about this. So sorry.
I'm sure you did.
I do. So instead of doing that now it's all pasteurized. Your milk is fine. You're not doing it for any other reason than just because it's traditional. And I think it imparts a little bit of a different flavor, and I think it changes the milk slightly when you heat it up, but you don't want to boil it. So you don't want it to boil inside the microwave, or if you're doing it, you can do it on the stove as well in a sauce pot.
Yes. In
a pot on the stove, but you just barely bring it up. Don't let it boil. Just let it get to that. You see it steaming, and then you're done.
That's right.
Okay.
This is what my mother did, and that's the way I do it. And whether or not I'm sure of all the reasons for that process, that's the way she did it. She baked wonderfully well.
Yes. My grandmother, man, every time you'd go to the farm, there would be some smell coming out of the farm. And I was the youngest of 27 grandchildren, and my mom's the youngest of 9 children. And when I would come, I was the baby, and I wasn't mad at that at all, because Grandma would always have something for me on the windowsill. She'd say, go check the windowsill and see what I made for you. And it would be like Stollen or Plotz or strudel or new Zwieback or I don't know. It was always awesome. Then she always had ginger ale.
Yeah.
This great Canada Dry. No, it wasn't Canada Dry. It was a local.
Niagara Dry.
It was a Niagara Dry. Niagara Dry ginger ale. They don't make it anymore. It was the best. It was so fizzy. Niagara Dry. Come back. Okay. So we're going to put this in and we're put it in the microwave?
1 cup of milk. 1 cup of water.
How do you know how long?
I just check it.
You watch it?
Yes, it'll take probably 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, try not to stand in front of the microwave. Stand to the side.
And I don't combine the water and the milk until after this milk is scalded.
Okay, so you're putting both of these things in separate inside the microwave.
Yes.
Awesome. I didn't know that. See, I'm learning something too. See, I'm not a great baker. I had to really force myself to learn how to bake. My mom has always been a really good baker, like ridiculously good, and everything turns out like it comes out from a bakery, and then I would make stuff and it would look like a sorry excuse for
When I started
baking. But now I'm good now.
Oh, I threw so many things out when I first started.
In university, I started hammering it. I said, you know what? I suck at baking, and I'm just going to bake until I can't stand it anymore. And I learned to bake. Darn it all. Now I'm okay. Mom's still way better than me. So was Grandma. She was awesome, but I'm working on it.
I don't know what it is, but even, when you taste something and you love it, somebody else has made it, you make it the exact same way, but it never tastes the same.
Really?
Like, even with me, it never tastes exactly like Grandma's. And Lisa said, Lisa is my other daughter, she said that when she makes it, it doesn't taste like mine. But they like it. They love it.
I made Zwieback and they tasted like yours. I wasn't mad.
Oh,
but hey, that's not all the time.
Yeah,
but Mom was right here watching me too.
Yes.
She was monitoring me. Anyway, this is white bread. This is going to be awesome. So that's all we can show them right now?
Right now, for the moment, that's it. And it all depends on when the yeast is ready.
Okay, and we'll show you what the yeast look like when we come back.
Okay.
Cool. We're back, and our yeast is proofed like crazy.
Beautiful.
You know what? Moms just know how to do things better than you, because I've never seen my yeast look like this. Like, never. I don't even know if you can see it. I hope you can, darn it all. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Like, really? Mom, you have, like, magic abilities?
Oh, my.
She does.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add the butter, half shortening.
And how much?
1.5 tablespoons each of butter and shortening.
Okay.
Putting it in the milk so
warm.
that it gets a chance to kind of melt.
You splashed.
Did I splash you in the face? Oh, well, that happens.
Occupational hazard. I'm going to call unemployment. Is that who I report that to?
Yes. Yes. Unfair working conditions.
Yes. We need a web chef union.
I'm going to add
solidarity.
2 tablespoons of sugar. 2 tablespoons of sugar. In we go.
I'm gonna have to put a great big oops out of Mom's mouth. That's okay, because you know what? Don't feel so bad, because I dropped the F-bomb this week accidentally. My edit on one of the recipes didn't edit properly, and you caught the tail end of a bad clip where I said something quietly that wasn't nice. And I didn't know until the next morning when I got all kinds of comments on it, and I had to go re-edit and upload it fast. I don't know what happened, but sorry, that happens.
2 teaspoons of salt.
She's concentrating on enunciating her words.
And 1 cup of water.
1 cup. Oh yes, because this is the water that went in the microwave with the milk.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't in the milk.
No.
So the milk is now scalded, what we talked about earlier. Make sure you check out that blog post if you need more info on that. And now the water went in, which is also warm. Mm-hmm. Now I'm seeing the butter is melted. The shortening's taking a little bit longer, but that's what happens.
Okay. I'm
going to get some tea, and you can talk.
I want to make sure that the salt and the sugar dissolve thoroughly in here. You don't want to put the milk in and find out that the sugar and the salt are all at the bottom of this.
And don't mix up the
concoction.
Sugar and the salt. Don't mix up the sugar and the salt either.
Yes, that wouldn't be good.
Have you done that? Have you ever put sugar in when it was salt or
no?
opposite?
But I almost did.
Almost?
Yes. From time to time, I guess we have mental health problems.
Oh dear.
Okay, here we go. Into the yeast mixture.
I have a funny story about yeast. That sounds gross.
Yes, that does sound gross.
This is an interesting show. We should have more of these baking with Mom. Cooking with Kimberly and baking with Mom. That's my new show. Baking with Mom. You gonna bake with me once a week?
Oh,
do you think we can bake bread once a week together, maybe?
I think they were gonna get bored with me.
You know what? The posts that we have, I have more comments on and more views more often.
Really?
Yeah, really. They like you. Yesterday, someone... I did the how to brew rose water iced tea with Mom. I grabbed her in yesterday. She wasn't expecting it. And I had all kinds of comments. People were saying you're a rock star. Your mom rocks. I'm like, I know. She does.
Okay, so
Go. Yes.
You want to tell a story?
No, I'm not going to tell the story yet. This is a mixer.
Everything.
This is a KitchenAid mixer.
Yes, and I put the dough hook in here.
Hold on, the dogs are not cooperating. Excuse me.
I'm going to start out by putting 4 cups of flour in and mixing that thoroughly. And from there on, we just kind of monitor the consistency.
Technical difficulties.
Oh my!
Wow,
they want to be on the show.
Wow,
my little puppies.
They don't like that both of us are busy.
Yeah,
that's what's going on. They want our attention. They can't have it right now. You guys have our attention.
It doesn't work unless you plug it in.
Oh,
and I can't plug it in here because you can get those.
You can unplug anything you want.
Oh, okay. Right. There we are.
I'll fix anything.
This might make a little noise.
It's gonna make. But wait, what do you have all in here? Everything.
I just told them.
Everything. Okay. Wait. What was I doing? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Continue. This is a fun show. This is real cooking. This is what happens at your house.
Yes.
Don't you love cooking with your mom? I do. I love it when mom does all the cooking.
Want to get it going.
When I come home,
absorb some of this flour.
You're adding how much flour?
We're starting out with 4 cups in there.
4 cups, and now you just added 1 more?
No.
That was 4.
It was 4.
So 4.
Now, it's still a little runny looking, but I'm going to let all of this get incorporated before I continue on.
Now you're using a dough hook in here.
A dough hook.
This is not like the little wispy balloon looking thing. This is none of that stuff. This is an actual dough hook specifically for this type of stuff.
Yeah. You want to see it?
Sure, if you want to show it.
Okay.
Can you?
I think so. Put this on.
You guys are getting full service.
This is the dough hook.
That's a dough hook.
A messy dough hook.
Wait, you're not showing it. Get it out of the gut out of here.
I don't want it careful everywhere.
Let's do it. It's a dough hook. That's what it looks like. And instead of you having to sit there
and knead
for like 10 minutes, 12 minutes sometimes, can get kind of boring and laborious.
It's a fitness program.
It is. It's a fitness program. So if you are looking for something like that, it's great. But if you don't have time, or you know what? While this is doing the work for you, you can be cleaning the rest of the kitchen, or preparing dinner, or talking on the phone to your mom, having a cup of tea, watching Cooking with Kimberly together. That'd be awesome. My tea's cold.
It's best to make sure that the flour you put in as you go, you make sure it gets incorporated before you go adding more stuff to it. Okay, I'm going to add a little more.
Okay. While she adds a little more, this is her 5th cup.
Now, when you do it, it might not work just the same, because we have half all-purpose flour and half bread flour that we're using. And it absorbs the flour differently. So, and also on one day it might need more flour, and another day it might need less.
Now mom mixes her flours. When we don't really use all-purpose much, because we do bake a lot of stuff, so it's just ready to go most of the time. And we typically mix half all-purpose and half of a bread flour in one great big container, and that kind of gives us the best of both worlds for everything that we're doing. You may want to try that. If it works for you, that's great, and if not, cool. That's how we do it. So that was her 5th cup of flour. While it's incorporating, it's all stuck to the sides, and everything's just kind of moving around and getting organized.
Yes.
I'll tell you my yeast story.
Yeah. Push it down.
Okay, so she's scraping the sides. You can use one of these as well, a scraper. These are my favorite things. Everyone needs one of these in their kitchen. This is the most basic first thing that you should have, because you can use it as a flipper. You can scrape things with it. You can use it as a spoon. I've done that, right? Who doesn't? If you're the baker in the kitchen and you're like, You've already used everything. It's going in the oven, and then you have the
Yes.
rest of the bowl to yourself, right? You know
Some
it's
of
true.
us use more utensils and pots and pans and
My-
dishes.
Let's not go there.
Others.
Let's not, Mom. We're not gonna go there today.
Okay.
Now we have to because you said it.
So.
But I'm gonna tell my yeast story first.
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so
Let's
when
hear
I
it.
was little, I would like sneak in the fridge sometimes to like get a sneaky snack or something sweet, and I always knew I could get the baker's chocolate. I liked it, even though it was that really bitter stuff. I liked it, and I would sneak it. And one day there was no baker's chocolate, and so I was looking for sprinkles in the cupboards, like what we could decorate cookies with and stuff. And I couldn't find them, or I couldn't reach them. I don't know where Mom put them. So I went back in the fridge, and I'm looking for stuff, and I found this, and this looked so cool, right? And I looked in here. I didn't know what it was. I guess I couldn't read, obviously. And I looked at these, and they look like sprinkles, like caramel-looking sprinkles. And I took a handful of that, and I popped it in my mouth. And I was so disgusted. Oh, my word. Don't ever do that. And if you're trying to teach your child a lesson, I guess, for sneaking, I don't know, and that's a good one, because that's gross. It won't kill them. It's gross.
That's
but that's
awful.
what I learned about.
That
That's
would
when
not
I learned.
Taste good.
I think I ran to you and was like, "What's this?" And I told you what happened. That's gross. Don't ever do that. Ooh, but that's when I learned about yeast and what it's for.
Okay, I'm into my 6th cup, and I'm very cautiously adding that because I don't want to put too much in at one time. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. So
Okay.
I want to make sure it's combined well before I add more.
Here's my tea. Everyone should do this on Sundays. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
Wouldn't your family be so much more, well, maybe not. Maybe you'd fight like crazy. Who knows?
Well, we do well when we get up at night and start cooking when we're hungry.
You know what? That's our philosophy, I guess. Right?
Yeah, you'll have to do a show on that.
I'm going to have to do a show on our philosophy of food and eating. Well, I'm going to be putting together a very nice meal plan and fitness stuff and put it all together for those athletes out there, professional athletes, elite athletes, athletes about to go to university. So we're going to talk about that and maybe change a lot of people's opinion on how to eat and what's the proper way to eat for you. Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to organize your eating schedule. How many cups? That's 6 cups now?
This whole cup is going in little by little, and this would be number 6.
We're still working on the 6th cup. We're adding it little bit by little bit. And it's coming together very nicely.
It hasn't left the sides yet, though. It has to leave the sides.
The dough is very homogeneous now, and the flour is working in nicely, but it's still wet. You can tell it's still runny-ish, and it needs to be able to come off the sides of the bowl by itself. Got me?
Yes, actually, if I were kneading this by hand, it would take a good 10 to 15 minutes.
So there you go. Well, when did we turn this on? We talked for a while.
Yes.
We've been going this clip about 12 minutes. Well, just this clip is 12 minutes, but we talked at the beginning, so when I look at the playback, we'll see. Mind you, this thing is working much faster than you could kneading.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you're hitting the 10-minute mark and you're tired and you're going really slow. It takes effort.
I like to make sure I'm going to have a nice texture. But this is not rocket science. And your ingredients don't have to be exactly, like if I say 6.5 cups, it could be 6 or 7 cups. Doesn't, and if you put a little bit more in, that probably wouldn't matter. And if you make a mistake and it's too dry looking and you put too much flour in, you can always add a little more water or milk.
And your ingredients are going to be different than our ingredients, and every batch of your ingredients is different than other batches. So, especially if you're in different locations in the country or on the planet for that matter, since everybody's watching this, your atmospheric conditions affect your baking to a huge degree. And so you kind of have to know the basics about baking and the proportions of baking, but then you have to learn how to be able to bend the rules and what to add, a little bit this, just to make it what it's supposed to look like.
Well, if you have put too much flour in, you would add a little more liquid, and you would add a little bit more of the fat, because you can't just add liquid and flour. You have to get
it would be too hard.
The sugar would be fine.
It'd be
salt would be fine.
It'd be like a hockey puck.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you. We are using unsalted butter. So that's why we're using 2 1/4 teaspoons of salt.
I guess if another quarter teaspoon off.
Right. If you were using salted butter, you would reduce the amount of salt.
Well, they do suggest that you use unsalted butter for baking so that you can regulate the salt content of your baked good, and that's a really good way to go by it. But I mean, sometimes you don't buy unsalted butter, or sometimes salted butter is much cheaper, it's on sale, you buy it. Just know the rules, just know what you're adding. Oh, that does have salt. Like when I had the ham the other day, don't add too much salt to your recipe because the ham is very salty or the bacon is salty. So just be aware of what ingredients can change.
Also,
your
when you're
recipe.
reading recipes, they generally are giving you, if they call for butter in a recipe book, they're generally considering that you would be using unsalted butter. So if you had salted butter and things are just a little too salty when you taste it, it's because your butter was salted and the salt, you needed less salt than what the recipe called for.
Mind you, I must interject, I think that to a great degree our society eats way too much salt.
Yes, that's
too
true.
much sodium. It's like we add so much, but we're desensitized to it because everything we buy and everything like takeout and meals we eat places and a lot of the packaged goods we have, they're so salty, and now it's just like so normal that we have to add more salt, more salt. So I think a lot of recipes call for way too much salt. How long did I go without eating salt or cooking with salt at all?
Not only that,
I went years, and go ahead. And it doesn't make things awful. I mean, I really enjoyed food and I love to cook. That's when I really had a passion for cooking.
Not only that, if you try a recipe and when you eat it, you're thinking that's a little bit too salty, of course you're going to adjust it the next time you make it. You're not going to just keep doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
So
and it's easier to, you can't
taste.
remove salt, just like Mom said the other ingredient. You can't remove salt. So you can do a couple tricks to mask it, but you can't remove it. So start with little bits, little bit. If you need to add more, then you add more. Got me?
Okay, we've come to the 6 1/4 cup.
The dough's looking nice.
It's
now
starting to pull away.
It's pulled away from the sides and it's kind of hugging that dough hook. And the dough hook is beating it around the bowl, which is the equivalent of how we knead it on a bench. We're nearly there.
This is the last order, but if I still think it's too sticky, I'll add more flour. So we just have to keep an eye on it right now. Have a chance to have my tea. Cheers.
Cheers. So, how are we going to have this bread tonight?
How are we going to have it? What do you mean, how?
What are we going to eat it with? Because you know, when it comes out, it's going to smell so good, we're not going to wait.
Oh, we're just going to cut it up and put butter on it.
You know what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do?
I think you might have cheese on it. No?
Something dunk it in.
Oh, dunk it in.
I'm going to have to do a video recipe for you later. Huh? Sit tight. You know what it is.
Your new...
No.
Okay, now... Oh, of course we have that lovely...
Don't tell it. It's a secret. You have to tune into my next show. Yeah. What did Jenna Marbles say? LL Cool J and J Lo. What did she taught her about hip hop? That you don't know what to say at the end of the song. You just say zibba 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 zibba. So that's what we do. Cool.
Okay,
That's
this
looking
is
good.
really looking good. So I think we'll just take the paint away and we'll turn you off for a bit until it's ready.
Are you going to finish it in here? You're going to finish it on the bench?
No, I'm going to finish it here.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm going to put it on the bench for like 1 minute.
Yes.
But, yeah, I think we'll say goodbye for a few seconds and come back.
Awesome.
Okay. We've now reached the stage where the dough has started to clean the bowl. It's pulled all the flour away from the edge of the bowl.
And that means you've added just enough flour.
Yes, not too much, not too little. Now, I'm just going to dump this out on the table.
Mom has what is this called?
Oh, I don't know what you would call it, honey.
A rolling thing.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's one of these things that's plastic. You roll it out and you roll dough on it.
Pastry sheet.
Pastry sheet.
Yes.
That's what it
Takes
is.
me a while to remember things.
Me too.
Okay, I'm just going to
and
lightly flour.
How much was that total flour now?
6 1/4, 6 1/2, and I probably used another half a cup, maybe half a cup.
So 6 3/4.
Yeah.
Okay. And now she just put a little bit of bench flour. Bench flour just means you put a little bit on top of that sheet or your flat bench. You could even, I always use the counter. Mom always is frou-frou and she likes to use extra stuff.
I just don't like cleaning the flour off of the counter. It gets all stuck on there.
We have to clean it off the same way.
We're going to use this for to put the dough back in it for rising.
That smells so good.
Now, I have to take my rings off.
We're taking our rings off.
Flour and shortening don't go well with rings.
Oh, it smells so good. You can smell the yeast and you can smell the butter. It's still a little soft.
The dough has reached the point where it's quite soft still.
May I?
Yep.
It's a tiny bit moist, a little bit sticky, but I can't grab it. It doesn't stick to my fingers at all.
That's what you want.
But you can tell that it's quite wet.
Which is good. I'm just going to knead it a little bit.
Bench flour?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Just ever so little. Sprinkle it on.
Don't forget you taught me. Mm-hmm. I used to do this with my mom when I was little.
Yeah.
That's what started
all. I always gave you your own piece of dough.
Mm-hmm. She did. She started it all.
And she would play with it so long that it would turn gray, but Dad would eat it anyhow. He loved his little girl so much he ate it. It was so gross.
But I never had an easy bake oven.
No, you didn't.
I don't know why.
I don't know either.
I would have liked that.
You didn't have time. You were so busy with all your activities and sports.
I did like a million sports. I don't know if you guys have ever read my history or seen my pages and sites and stuff, but yeah, I used to be a busy kid. And a busy adult. A busier adult. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you see that the bench flour is running out, you put a little bit on.
But this is just now at the proper stage for rising.
Okay, now you can feel that it just has a little coating of the flour on the outside. It's completely feels dry in your hand now.
Not dry.
Well, not dry, but you can't feel so much moisture, and it's smooth to the touch.
Yes, it's very nice and smooth.
It's not lumpy anymore like when you first brought it out.
At this point, it's ready to rise. But one thing, I'm just going to take a little knob of shortening here, and I'm going to cover the bottom of this.
Of her mixing bowl, so that you don't use an extra bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this recipe makes 2 loaves.
Yes. We have one loaf pan that's very large and one that's smaller than normal. So
So if someone wants to sponsor Cooking with Kimberly and send us some bakeware that's proper, I really need a new pastry sheet and some loaf pans.
This is Tupperware.
Yes, and some loaf pans. That would be marvelous.
Now,
inbox me.
We're going to cover this with a nice tea towel, nice clean tea towel. And
linen tea towel, not the kind with the fuzzies, like how you take a bath.
Yes, not terry cloth.
You want to use like this stuff that's not fluffy at all.
And
got me?
Then
and
we're going to wrap it.
This bread feels warm as well
towel. Already. You have to baby it, keep it from getting cold.
You can still feel that the dough has some warmth from the the warm milk.
Now this has to double in bulk. So probably in about 25 minutes I'm going to check it. It might be perfect then, but it'll take around that length of time. And then we will separate it into loaf sizes and put it in and I'll help you with putting it into the greased pans.
Awesome. We'll see you soon. What's up, Mommy?
Well, we're going to grease the pans.
Okay. So how long has this been?
It took about 40 minutes.
Okay.
For it to rise
double
nicely.
In volume?
Well, you want to see it.
Is that what it did? Double in volume?
Oh, more than doubled. It's just nice.
This is what we got going on here. A big, huge thing of this. Here we go. So now we're going to make it into two different loaf pans. And look, that's what I'm talking about. One little tiny one and one kind of bigger one. So send me baking pans.
So I have a little knob of shortening I just put in each one, and a paper towel. I'm just wiping it all over the inside so that it comes out easier.
That's a good way to do it, so you don't have to get your hands all dirty. You don't have to use you don't have to use a brush to do it either. It's a good idea.
Yes.
That way you don't use too much either.
Right. Because that's definitely not what you want.
No. You don't want greasy bread on the outside.
Too much in here, so I'm just going to use a part that I didn't use yet. Wipe it off.
Now these are already non-stick pans, but
sometimes non-stick, they're joking. They're joking.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. They're totally joking. They're just kidding. Yeah. They just want you to pay big non-stick prices.
Okay,
cool.
There we go. Put those over there for a moment.
Awesome. Okay, so you're gonna pull this out onto this sheet here. Okay, so we got our pastry sheet yet again. Do you need some bench flour?
No.
Okay, no bench flour.
Isn't that beautiful?
It looks beautiful. It smells so nice.
Hand knead this a little bit. Well, you know what? I might need a little tad.
I thought so.
Not much. Just like a few.
Where is it?
In there.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to knead this down. You can see that it was just at the right stage of mixing because it's not sticking to anything.
It's a very white in color, actually.
Can you give me that flour then?
It's very white in color.
You.
You're welcome. Let me move it around for you. You good? Cool. It's very nice and white in color. It's extremely smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Is it elastic? Let me see.
Yeah.
It is. It's very soft. You can push in. It kind of pushes back like a cloud. Not like a cloud. I guess a cloud would just as big.
One thing back. For sure, it should not be bumpy. If it looks like it's bumpy, that means you didn't let it rise long enough.
Or you didn't knead it long enough.
Or you didn't knead it properly or not long enough. Okay, so
what are you doing?
Even the reason I'm doing this is to get rid of any huge air bubbles that might be in there.
Okay.
Because you know how you cut a piece of bread and there's a big hole there?
Yeah.
Well, that's because they didn't really uniformly.
And then you can't make a sandwich. I had that happen to me yesterday.
Okay.
In fact, this much of the loaf was like that.
I know.
With a great big hole.
I got one of those for a sandwich.
I know. I wasn't happy. I was like, poo.
Okay, so 2/3 of it are going in the big one, and 1/3 is going in the little.
You're eyeballing. Relax.
Yes. It's okay. It's not rocket science.
You're okay. It's going to be okay.
It's not the end of the world. There we go.
It'll still work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this one, let's get it, roll it out again a little bit further.
Here's our little pen.
Mm-hmm.
Have you preheated the oven? Oh no, we're letting it rise one more time.
We're letting it rise one more time.
One more time.
You know, I put it in the oven to rise, but if you put it in the oven to rise, you may put the heat on before for a little while.
Before you start everything.
2 minutes.
Before you start everything you just did, mixing and all that.
Turn it up to 250 and leave it on for 3 minutes. Then I will just do a few things, getting the last minute of work done like that. And then I put it in the oven so that it's just barely warm and no drafts. You can see how nicely that allows it to rise.
It's very elastic.
It's beautiful.
You've developed the gluten very nicely, Mother.
Yeah. It's distributed nice.
The gluten is what makes it go all stretchy and makes the bubbles and
now,
so pretty.
We got most of the big bubbles out of this.
Okay.
And
grease pen.
Another beautiful loaf.
Okay, so you turn it off and then you do your stuff. Mm-hmm. And by the time you're ready at this point, then you put it in the oven and it's like it's not barely warm. It's warmish, but it's not going to cook it. It's not going to dry it out.
It's just slightly.
But it's just kind of the right thing to do.
There's body temperature.
And you put it in the oven. There's no draft. You don't want to draft. If it gets cold, it's just gonna go.
Okay.
Lose all of its airs.
Last minute thing. I'm just gonna put a teeny bit of butter on the top.
Okay. With what?
So, with a little pastry brush.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be perfect.
In fact, the more imperfect, the better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oftentimes.
It's kind of rustic. It's kind of rustic.
I like it rustic. That means it's homemade.
Mom used to take a piece off the end, roll it out, and she'd make a design on top.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would do.
Yeah.
Mom does that
we're doing ordinary today.
Mom does that for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Whenever she makes the pumpkin pie, she'll make she'll make holly and berries or a pumpkin for Thanksgiving. A big design with the dough. And she's very creative. She's very artistic. My mother, wow, she's very talented.
Well, I was just thinking today, I have never met a woman as talented and accomplished as my mom.
Really?
Oh, she could make a feast out of nothing. And it was beautiful, always.
Well, she had a lot of mouths to feed on a very limited budget on a farm. 9 kids.
Children.
Holy moly.
You know, we didn't think we ever went without anything.
Well, that's good.
So, I didn't know she
wouldn't have it any other way.
No, she was great. She could cook, sew, we do farm work.
Yeah.
Crochet.
She could hunt.
Yes, she hunted. She would go out and shoot a pheasant.
For dinner?
For dinner. She didn't know what we were going to have for dinner. She'd walk out into the orchard, and we had a lot of pheasants around the area at that time.
It's a different world, isn't it?
Shoot herself a pheasant or two and pop them in a pot, and that would be pheasant noodle soup.
Could you imagine cooking with Kimberly? All right, everybody.
Get your gun.
I'm going out to hunt some... I don't know yet. We'll see what's in my backyard in Ontario. Like, that's crazy.
Okay.
We wouldn't find anything
let this
proper
rise
to eat.
Again. I'm going to put it in the oven, and I'm going to cover it with the lovely
the linen tea towels again.
Tea towel.
Mom has to iron all her tea towels.
It has to be ironed because that way there's no little lint fluff that might get on the food. If you don't iron it, goodness knows what you might come up with.
I love my mom. She does all the things that I really don't want to do, like iron tea towels. She's the best. You're the best, Mom.
There we are.
My mom is a perfectionist. It's really killing her today that we're doing a very simple traditional recipe. I must let you in. I want a secret. It's true.
What you could do with that recipe that you just had, like at this, before we did the first rise, just at the end of mixing it, we could take a handful or two of raisins, and you would have a wonderful raisin loaf.
Now tell them why you wouldn't put the raisins in at the beginning.
Oh, because all little pieces would come off, and you wouldn't have white dough. You'd have brownish and beigeish.
It's not nice.
Dough. You have to put them in hot water, strain them, and then roll them in a little bit of flour.
You don't have to do it in water, though, either.
No, you don't have to do it.
You could do it in what? Liqueurs?
Liqueurs,
you could do
tea.
it in rum, tea, fruit juices. You could
Yes.
do all kinds of cool things. Try it out.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Absolutely.
In fact, since it makes two loaves, you could do one with the raisins and one without. So you'd have something for dinner and
something snacky
dessert.
for breakfast.
Dessert. Or, you know, like we like to get up in the middle of the night and eat. That would be a perfect snack. I know, because I've tried it.
Have you?
Yeah. I didn't wake you up, though.
No? It's okay. I had mashed potatoes last night at the fridge at like 3 a.m. like...
So that's it now.
So
we're
now,
just going to wait until it's
how long
doubled in bulk again, which should be
what are you
faster.
estimating?
I'm estimating 20 minutes.
Because that yeast is really activating.
Mm-hmm.
It's multiplied by like millions now. It duplicates itself. And now it's got millions and millions of yeast, literally millions of yeast in there going, trying to grow. So
Yep.
it should be a lot quicker now. And we'll see you in a minute.
Yes.
Hey everybody, we're back because Mom can't just be as simple as we thought, can she? She's a complex individual and she's going to show you something else. Here she is.
I'm going to put a few slits in this bread.
Because?
Because it allows it to expand without getting big bubbles in it. Again, about the bubbles. And it's prettier.
Mom has a thing about bubbles. She's an anti-bubble person, apparently.
Well, I just don't like big bubbles in my bread. I like bread. You think you're going to have a sandwich and half of it is air, a big air bubble.
But what's cool also is that when this sucker bakes and rises, where the slits are, it kind of splits even more and grows there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it browns, it's so beautiful with the slits. So you'll see how pretty that is, and now you'll know how to do it. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
All she did was
Sharp
put the
little
knife
knife.
in about, I don't know, a half an inch maybe, slice through. Actually, she didn't stick it right in.
Quarter of an inch.
She slices it like this, right? Slice, slice, slice. If it's sticking in your dough, which it shouldn't, like it was all good right there. But if it does, put just a little bit of flour, dunk it in some flour, and then start slicing it.
Or
and then you're
put
good.
some butter on it.
Or butter, and
or
it'll slide right through.
Shortening. It'll, like on the knife.
There you go. So we'll see you in a minute.
Hold that up like that.
I know, I might go outside hunting.
Yes.
I'm going a hunting.
Get your gun.
Be sure you check out, hey, that's a good segue. Make sure you check out Tonka Live magazine. It's tonkalive.com. And you'll see me in there every month featured. It's a cool show called Cooking Adventures with Kimberly. Tonka Live magazine is based out of Lake Minnetonka in Minnesota, and it's very outdoorsy, and we do lots of cool recipes and outdoorsy things, and you'll see me in Minnesota this year.
Excellent. Who's going to take care of
Stay
me when
tuned.
you're gone?
You're coming with me. We have to do baking.
We have to
Baking
do
with
baking?
Ingrid on Lake Minnetonka. I don't know what. She's going to bake
Outdoor-
on a campfire.
Outdoor baking. We can make an oven.
I know, we've done it. We've done it up north. Mom is industrious. I gotta say, Mom and Dad were the most industrious people I've ever met my whole life. They could build anything out of nothing. Dad would have like a atomic reactor if he had to make one. Like he was just
Yeah, he
that
made
smart.
a parabolic speaker. When we moved into one of our houses, there was a drive-in theater that faced our backyard, and he made a parabolic speaker so we could hear the sound.
So now you know why I can't sit still, because my dad was some kind of genius, apparently.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. And my mom is darn genius too. And artistic and pretty. It's my mommy. All right. We'll be back. Hi, everybody. We're back. How long has it been?
About an hour.
About an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom has these beautiful breads that are in the loaf pan, and they have like tripled in size. See that? Aren't they gorgeous? Now, you don't want these to catch a draft. You want to be really, really fast with them. They have the slits on top like we had. It's beautiful, lovely, lovely. And tell them what you're going to bake it on.
450 for 6 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll bring it down to 350 for about 20 minutes.
Very nice. So we're just putting it in the oven. That's all we're showing you. So
That's
we don't really
it.
have to show you that. And we're
Isn't
gonna
it gorgeous?
set the timer for your proper time. So 450 for 6 minutes, 350 for 20 to 30. You're going to check it at around 18 to make sure everything's going well. You want it to be golden brown.
Oh, yes.
So tell them what they're looking for.
you're looking for golden brown on top, and and then you'll be able to tell it when it's done.
Okay.
I mean, there's no question.
Okay.
I'll let you have a look at them when I take them out.
Perfect. See you soon.
Okay.
Hi everybody, we're back and our bread is out of the oven and looking gorgeous.
And smelling fabulous.
So tell them about cooking times and temperatures and issues with that.
Yes. When you get recipes that refer to 10 or 12 minutes, try 10 minutes. Have a look at them. If it says 20 to 30 minutes, have a look at 15, because all ovens are not alike.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And especially if they're older recipes. This recipe came from my grandmother, and Mom said that she didn't have as great an oven. And nowadays we have very high-tech ovens that hold temperature and they don't have hot spots and things. We use convection today, and so it really helps a lot. So be careful when you're using older recipes like that, if you find old recipes from your grandmother or something like that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it looks beautiful, doesn't it?
So now what? You're going to take it out of these things?
Yes.
When
they're cool. When it's cool.
And how long does that take?
Oh, I would let it sit there for half an hour. And then just turn it upside down.
Half an hour. Turn it upside down. It should come right out because we put shortening and et cetera on top. Or in the pan.
Right.
Also, tell them about butter.
Butter. I put a little gloss of butter on each one just with a paper towel and just kind of brushed it over.
Or you can use a brush.
Because I like that look.
And
it really doesn't serve any special purpose.
Well, it's tasty.
Well, yes. All butter is
goes on bread.
Butter is tasty.
Bread and butter. It goes together like the horse and carriage.
I can't wait to try it.
Me
Anyway,
too.
have a look.
It smells good.
It's really hot.
Do you knock on it? Is that what you do?
Yeah. Have a
Are you
look.
going to knock on it?
Isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful. See how she did the scoring?
Yes.
Beautiful. The cuts.
This little guy here. Isn't that cute?
Mm-hmm. Now, did you need to take this guy out earlier?
No, I didn't take it out earlier. But I think it's fine. I can feel it. It's.
So you thud it.
Yeah.
And if it sounds hollow, it's
Which
done.
that does.
And make sure that the outside is the color that you want it, and that's
Yes.
pretty much it. That's a wrap.
I mean, some people like it light golden, some people like it dark golden, and some people just like it dark.
Now this is going to be nice and crusty on the
Yes.
outside. It's
Yes.
going to be the bomb. Now, this was how to bake traditional white bread. Simple white bread. You're going to use it for sandwiches. You're going to use it for toast. You're going to use it for, I don't know, whatever you would use
Bread
sliced
crumbs,
bread for.
croutons.
Exactly. Now, when you cut this, you're also going to want to use a serrated knife that has some teeth that doesn't grab, okay? If you use just like a chef's knife, it's just going to squish your bread. It's not going to be a nice thing at all. So this is what a serrated knife looks like. See the teeth on the bottom, the little teeth? So that goes, and it slices right through the bread super easy and gently.
And you saw it.
You saw it
Like you don't
saw.
press it down because you'll just compress everything. And
that wouldn't be very nice, precious.
Precious.
So that's how to bake traditional white bread from care of Grandma Casper's recipe. Did she get that from her mom?
I think she probably had that recipe when she was growing up. And when they had wheat flour, they probably added half and half. She wasn't big on just dark brown bread. So I kind of think, like...
You're not either.
No, I'm not either. I kind of think that they probably mixed it half and half, but I mean, as the white flour was more available to her when she came to Canada, she always made it here with the white flour.
So this is Grandma Casper's old German recipe, and I hope you guys enjoy it and try it. It's easy. I mean, it takes some time. It's a little bit of effort and a little bit of love, but it's worth it.
The time is in the creation. It's not in the baking. Like,
right,
just mixing the ingredients together.
And you're letting if you have a a mix master like my mom does, then that just cuts your time in like nothing. You hardly did anything really. But babysit.
I still love the idea of hand kneading. but my hands have some arthritis in them, so it's great to use
There's
the
new age ways.
bread thing.
It's all gravy. Mom can still bake. Baking with Ingrid. Make sure you check out the show. Seriously, go check out the show. It's going to be more often than what it has been lately. Right?
Yes, I'd be happy to see you.
Awesome. So this is how to bake traditional white bread. Make sure you check out Cooking with Kimberly. Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Make sure you check out the Facebook fan page. It's facebook.com/Cooking with Kimberly. All my shows are on YouTube, youtube.com/Cooking with Kimberly, and the site is cookingwithkimberly.com. And that's, wow, a whole lot of Cooking with Kimberly's.
Yes. That's what I do. I'm always cooking with Kimberly.
And I'm always baking with Ingrid. So yeah, make sure you check out my mom's stuff. She's IngridTurnerToday.com, and she also has a fan page on Facebook. It's IngridTurnerToday.com. Check it out. Search it just like that. And that's it. Be a champion in your kitchen. Eat deliciously. Bye.
Bye-bye.